Right, this lesson, we are looking at 1.3 about partial fractions. Now, this chapter from now on about partial fraction will be used again later in parametric equations, or it will be used in integration and differentiation again. So you need to make sure you have a good foundation of knowledge in the following chapters, 1.3, 1.4, and 1.5. Right, so what is partial fractions then? Now, if I tell you, okay, 1/8 plus 2/3 is, use a calculator, 19/24. Now, what we're trying to do here is, I want you to split up 19/24 back into a fraction out of 8 and out of 3. So your task is simply to work out what is the numbers on top in here. Okay, so that's what partial fraction is. Partial fraction means you're splitting the big fraction into two fractions partially. And these two denominators are the factors of 24. You can see 8 and 3 are factors of 24. Right, so essentially, if we go back to notes in here, so 5/x+1 and over x plus 4, we can try to split into a/x+1, or we actually don't write a bracket underneath. It doesn't matter. a/x+1 plus b/x plus 4. That's partial fractions. Partial fraction means we're going to split imagine that thing is 24. We're going to split into 3 and an 8. That's what we're trying to do in here. Okay. Right. So example. Do I have enough space? I might need more space. I'm going to move. Okay. Right. Example. Split 6x minus 2 over x minus 3, x plus 1 into partial fractions. So we're going to first have to, that's the first step. We're going to rewrite the fraction. It's a triple equal. Triple equal means equivalent. That means no matter what x equals to, they will always be the same. So over a over x minus 3 plus b over x plus 1. Now, it doesn't matter which one you put in the beginning, x minus 3 or x plus 1 first. So you can put x plus 1 in here and then x minus 3 in the second fraction. It doesn't matter. But what will happen is your a and b value will be the opposite to what I do, to what I've got. But ultimately, it's the same thing. For example, if you've got 19/24, you can either rewrite 1/8 over 2/3 plus 2/3, or you can write 2/3 plus 1/8. You can see it's just the same thing, but your a and b value would be opposite. Right. So carry on. Next step, we're going to add the fractions. Okay, so that's the first step. Next step, we're going to have a common denominator. So I'm going to keep the left-hand side the same. But this time, I need a common denominator. So x minus 3, x plus 1. So now when you make notes, try to write some intermediate steps for yourself. What does that mean? What are we trying to do in here? Okay, so what we're trying to do in here is we are trying to make a common denominator. Or we can say we could combine fractions, whatever. Actually, combined fraction would be a better one. We're combining the fractions. We're combining fractions, okay? We are always going to be adding in here because subtraction doesn't really help us. So adding will be easier. So the first fraction, I need a x plus 1 because common denominator is x minus 3, x plus 1. The first fraction is lacking of x plus 1. For the second fraction, I need an x minus 3. Okay. Next step. Now both sides have the same denominator. That means the numerator will now equal. So we can now just equate the numerator. Now, but then we're going to just put an equal sign. We're not going through the equivalent anymore. To be honest, equal, equivalent, it doesn't really matter that much. If you sort of struggle to understand why it's equal, why it's equivalent, just put all of them as an equal. So equal to a bracket x plus 1 plus b over x minus 3. So here, what we're trying to do in here is we try to just to equate the numerator. Now, I'm guiding you through in here, but you should be later on, you should be doing these intermediate steps yourself, just to explain yourself step by step, what are you trying to do in here, which is quite an important process in the exam, because constantly you'll be thinking, what should I do next? What should I do next? What's the next step? And the main question is, why do you do the step? And here, the reason we have to equate the numerator is because the denominator doesn't help. So there's no use for denominator anymore. Right, next step, we need to find the value of a and b. So the factors of the denominator, is 3 and minus 1. So the factors, let me write in here. Where can I write? So the factors are 3 and minus 1. From denominator here, look at denominator in the bracket. So these are the factors. Oh, these are roots. Sorry, I don't mean the factors. I mean roots. The roots are 3 and minus 1. Okay. So, right. So what we're going to use these roots are, we're going to sub into the equation. Reason roots are useful is because if you sub in the roots, let's say 3, you realize this bracket 3 minus 3 goes to 0. In that case, we're only left with one variable. So here we're going to say when x equals 3. When x equals 3, we've got 6 times 3 minus 2 equals a times 3 plus 1 plus b bracket 3 minus 3, which left-hand side is 16, and the right side is 4a, 0b, so it's gone. So we now know a is 4. Do the same when next step, when x equals minus 1, do the other root. Then 6 times minus 1 minus 2 equals a times minus 1 plus 1 plus b times minus 1 minus 3. Be careful with the sign. Put this whole thing in the calculator. Apologize for the ugly curly bracket. Minus 6 minus 1 is minus 8 equal. That is 0, so that's gone. Minus 1 minus 3 is negative 4b. Divided by negative 4, b is 2. So to wrap up final answer, we're going to rewrite the whole fraction, 6x minus 2 over x minus 3, x plus 1 is equivalent to a. Your a is 4. Now, if your a is 4, you must follow the same denominator as you wrote in the beginning. Over x minus 3 plus b is 2, 2 over x plus 1. And that's the final answer. Okay, that's the final answer. Right, next one. Example. Given that 6x squared plus 5x minus 2 over x times x minus 1 times 2x plus 1 is equivalent to this. Find the values of constants a, b, and c. So this time they lay out for you. So our first step will follow the same first step from the last time. The first step is to combine the fractions. So I'm going to write 6x squared plus 5x minus 2 over x minus 1, 2x plus 1 is equivalent to, so big fraction. And the denominator will be x times x minus 1 times 2x plus 1. Now for numerator, this fraction needs an x minus 1 at 2x plus 1. Second fraction needs an x and 2x plus 1. So x and 2x plus 1. And the last fraction needs an x and an x minus 1. Yeah, so it's going to be quite messy. So your algebra work has to be spot on, especially using a calculator when it comes to substituting numbers. The biggest silly mistake students make in this case is when they put in numbers in a calculator, they put it carefully and make silly mistakes when it comes to a, b, and c value. So next step, we can equate the top. So 6x squared plus 5x minus 2 is equals to a times x minus 1, 2x plus 1 plus bx, 2x plus 1 plus cx, x minus 1. Next step, what are the roots? The roots are, now based on the denominator, can you tell me the roots? So roots are 0, 1, and minus a half. you're going to put in there one by one. So when x equals 0, then left-hand side is 6 times 0 squared plus 5 times 0 minus 2 equal a times 0 minus 1 is minus 1. 2 times 0 plus 1 is 1 plus b times 0. It doesn't matter anymore, plus c times 0. So it doesn't matter anymore. These two will just go. So what you get is in here when x equals 0, you get minus 2 equals minus a. So a is 2. That's one answer. Next one, when x equals 1, then you get 6 times 1 squared plus 5 times 1 minus 2 equal a times, well, 1 minus 1 is 0, so a times 0. Now, what happens is when you sub in the root, you should only be left with just one variable to work with, either a, b, or c. So you can see a is gone, b is not, so plus b times 1 times 2 times 1 plus 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. C is gone. C times 0. So that's gone, that's gone. So 9 equals 3b. So b equals 3. And the last one, when x equals minus a half. Now that's the thing becomes a bit messier because you've got a fraction, negative fraction. So when you put a calculator, be careful. 6 times minus a half squared plus 5 times minus a half minus 2 equal. Now when we put minus a half in, anything with the 2x plus 1 in the term will go to 0. So a goes to 0. B will go to 0 as well. C won't be. So C times negative a half minus 1. So put it all in, you get minus 3 equal 3 over 4c. So C equals to negative 3 divided by 3/4. C equals to minus 4. And that's what they need. Okay. Right. And exam practice. Okay. You can have a go at the question. When you're ready for the answer, then you can press play. So here are the answers. One thing to note is, again, depends on which denominator you go first in your partial fraction. Your a and b value might be swapped, but your final answer, if you have x plus 2 in the beginning, you have 1 over x plus 2 plus 3 over 2x minus 3. And I believe that's the end of chapter 1.3.